everyone. My name is Wanda Wicks, she, her, inventor, owner, and spokesmodel for WandaFunk Technology, supplying quality magitech and technomagical sex toys throughout the multiverse. And once again, we are back playing Disco Elysium. Now, due to circumstances beyond my control that may or may not have had to do with helping to MC the 4th annual Tournament of Sex, it's been 3 weeks your time since the last stream of this game, so before we start, I think it's best if we do a quick recap of everything we know so far. So, here goes. Roughly 8,000 years ago, human civilization began in a world called Elysium. Elysium is made up of islands of matter called isolas, which are separated by an expanse of colorless, featureless nothingness called the Pale, which is slowly growing and will eventually overwhelm everything in the world. Elysium also has special people called Innocences, religious figureheads who appear every few centuries to perform significant acts, political revolutions, scientific discoveries, etc., that are seen as inevitable advances in human civilization. One of the most significant Innocences was a beautiful blonde woman named Dolores Day, who taught that sudden revolutions are always unstable, and that true human progress can only come through slow, incremental improvements. Her followers believe this slow, stable progress is the moral course of action, and therefore call themselves moralists. Among other things, Dolores Day was responsible for the discovery of inter-isolary travel shortly before being assassinated. The inhabitants of her Isola, Mundi, visited other Isolas, including the Insulindian, which is mostly composed of ocean, but which had a huge, fertile, uninhabited island in its center called Le Caillou, where the colonists created a new city-state called Revachol. Revachol quickly became the most powerful nation in the world, and their king, called the suzerain, collected tribute from every other nation. Followers of the suzerainty tended to be racist and sexist and called themselves fascists. The suzerain gave his favor to 14 companies called Indo-tribes, giving them special monopolies of their respective businesses. One of these Indo-tribes was Wild Pines, a multinational conglomerate that controlled, among other things, inter-isolary cargo shipping. Roughly 50 years ago, there was a plague called Sarath, and the widespread hardship of that plague prompted Krasmazov to invent communism. Many nations became communists and overthrew their governments, including Revachol, but the Revacholian communists were subsequently defeated by an international coalition of moralists who crossed the Pale in giant airships, blew everything up, and parked those airships within bombarding distance of Revachol, where they still remain to this day, keeping the city as a zone of control with no real government to speak of. Following the war, Revachol languished in poverty for a decade or two, then had a brief boom of economic prosperity as the rest of the world used them as a tax haven. Free market capitalists, calling themselves ultra-liberals, made a lot of money, and disco was invented. Harrier Dubois grew up poor in a street gang of kids who called themselves the 15th Indo-tribe. Those kids all died, but Harry used his natural athleticism to become a gym teacher before meeting a beautiful blonde woman named Dora Ingerland. They fell in love, and Dora inspired Harry to join the Revachol Citizens Militia, Revachol's equivalent of the police. Harry devoted himself to his work, becoming both a talented detective and an unstable drug addict. Dora left him, and he fell into a pit of narcotic abuse, depression, workaholic mania, and desperate attempts to recapture the disco cool of his youth. Martinez is a small, poor district in northern Revachol, where the main employer is Wild Pines, specifically their airship loading dock that handles 8% of the entire world's cargo. The Dock Workers Union acts as the de facto police force for Martinez, since Martinez doesn't actually have an assigned RCM precinct and is otherwise unpoliced. The twins, Edgar and Everard Clare, became the heads of that union, swapping the position back and forth between them to circumvent the union's term limit rule. They're fantastically corrupt and have made a lot of money facilitating the transport of drug ingredients through the terminal to powerful gang leaders like La Puta Madre. A young red-headed Suruese girl who had the same accent as popular fantasy hero the man from Hjelmdal was forced to kill people for a snuff radio station that used a 24-hour window company as a front. She was let go or escaped and bonded with a boy named Kuno, who has an abusive father who's so drunk he can't tell his own son from a little girl who happens to have the same hair color. A few months ago, possibly inspired by the dance club/drug lab business plan of the orphaned daughter of a mob boss, the Clare brothers decided that they would no longer provide drug ingredients to La Puta Madre and would instead handle the drug trade in-house. This new revenue stream financed a dock workers' strike, one where the union demanded, among other things, that all of their workers become members of Wild Pine's board, a slogan that sounds inspiring to the proletariat, but which would be almost impossible to actually implement. This is because the Clares actually had no intention of negotiating with Wild Pines and are simply attempting to steal the terminal and its contents for themselves. Wild Pines, still attempting to negotiate, sent in a rich woman named Joyce Messier, along with a security detail of mercenaries from a private military company called Crenell, one of whom was Ellis Lely Hortenauer. Lely was charismatic, belligerent, often drunk, bragged about committing many war crimes, and generally made a nuisance of himself throughout Martinez. He hooked up with a beautiful blonde woman named Klasha, and together they did a lot of drugs and had a lot of sex. Lely got shot in the roof of the mouth by an as-yet unknown assailant, and the bullet didn't exit the back of his head. For reasons we don't yet know, a militant wing of the dock workers union called the Hardy Boys picked up the dead body and staged a lynching, attempting to take credit for the murder. Because no one in Martinez ever calls the police, Lely hung in the backyard of a hostel called the Whirling in Rags for days, while the locals stole his ceramic armor and Kuno threw rocks at his decaying body. Eventually, Klasha made an anonymous call to the RCM. Two different RCM precincts, the 41st and the 57th, decided that this was the perfect opportunity to have a cop-off, to determine which of them would be responsible for policing Martinez going forward. The 41st sent Harry Dubois, along with his partner Jean Vicmer and patrol officer Judith Minot. Once Harry got to Martinez, however, he got in an argument with his squad and told them to fuck off, which they did. Harry then proceeded to not solve the murder, instead embarking on an epic drunken bender for 3 days, attempting to flush his paperwork down the toilet, pawning his gun, jumping his police car over the canal and into the sea, and eventually drowning his pain in alcohol and sad music, passing out on the floor, losing his memories not only of his own past, but also of all the details of the world that he was in. He woke up Monday morning to the sound of Kim Kitsuragi's Capri Kinema, which is the start of the game. The word meanwhile doesn't really mean much in this context, but I'll say it anyway. Meanwhile, in a different reality, human civilization started on a world that doesn't have the Pale or Innocences, but which does have its own existential threats, religious figures, and politics. I won't go into too many details about that world, I'm sure you're all familiar, but it features a little Central European country called Estonia, which was taken over by the Nazis, then taken over by the Soviets, and then declared independence. A young Estonian man named Robert Kurvitz, inspired by role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons, created a homebrew tabletop campaign set in the world of Elysium, eventually writing a novel called A Sacred and Terrible Air that sold basically no copies. He somehow put together a video game company called Studio Zom, which released a smash hit CRPG called Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium was popular because of its stellar writing and world building, to be sure, but it caught the zeitgeist largely because it dealt with political issues during a time of global political unrest. It has a vertical scrolling dialogue UI that mimics addictive social media, and it has the gimmick of its amnesiac protagonist's 24 skills acting as different voices in his head. Meanwhile, in a third reality, a brilliant inventor named Georgia Rolfe made a career developing all kinds of technology for different companies, but frequently saw her inventions stolen and used for unethical purposes. She was still working at the age of 81 when an experimental artificial gravity drive exploded and destroyed her brain. Since both gravitons and encoded fiction tend to leak between realities, this explosion created a semantic bridge that allowed George's consciousness to manifest as the newly minted soul of a peasant baby named Rhiannon in a fourth reality, one that happened to feature magic. Using her knowledge of the scientific method and the fact that she could take notes in a language that no one else in that universe could read, Rhiannon quickly became a master of both arcane sciences and interdimensional travel, developing magitech devices that allowed her to, among other things, reassert her original birth gender and take on the name Wanda Wicks. That's me. Hi. Anyway, about 5 months ago, I started streaming an instantiation of Disco Elysium on this channel, in roughly 2-hour chunks every Saturday. So far, playing as Harry Dubois, we have met up with Kim Kitsuragi from the 57th Precinct, investigated roughly 30% of the actual murder, and we're currently helping a programmer named Suna investigate a 2mm hole in the world that happens to be at the apex of the spire of this church. And we're doing so by helping a group of ravers set up the aforementioned dance club, but not the drug lab. That should about cover it. Anyway, let's get back to it, shall we?
Yes, what is it?
How's the project going? I see that your neighbors have moved in, but all I hear is hypnotic dance music.
What? What
She
did you say?
She leans closer, eyes knitted together in a puzzled expression. You can barely hear her over the thumping bass of hypnotic dance music. I said, how's the project going?
I can't hear you! The music is too loud!
The project! How is it going?
Oh, the project! It's not going well!
Why?
There's that guy! I need him to plug a 3.5 cable into the auxiliary input so that I can route the audio signal through the mixer into the speakers.
Why don't you just ask him?
He doesn't listen to me! He only ever seems to care about hardcore and yekukata! A place to be, apparently!
I'll speak to him, see what I can do.
Thanks! Maybe you can get through his magic rhymes!
She does jazz hands to mock him.
Let me know how it goes!
Can do. Now, fortunately, we've already navigated Egghead's maze, so this should be easy.
Delonian Church, the place to be! Make some noise, my church people!
Large speakers are set up behind the young man, blasting a familiar song.
Vibrations thump through your blue soul. The music sounds much better in the church.
A hawthorn tree on Rue de Saint-Gislain, tangled in its branches, something bronze flutters in the wind.
That's Shivers giving us a clue about where we have to go after this.
He stands on stage behind a table, nodding along to the music and waving his hand in the air. In front of him, the audio mixer, one reel spinning. The other reel deck is empty. Cables run hither and thither. On one side, you see an auxiliary line in with the number 4.5 written next to it.
How do you like it in the church?
Yeah! Back on the case! No disgrace! Bring it down to party place! The first page of the second chapter!
His voice echoes all around the grand hall.
Could it be? Maybe for him, you only have a chapter or two left in you. Last of the penultimate, more like.
Egg, could you please route Sona's signal through your speakers?
To the mega! Yeah! I can route it through auxiliary! What kind of a cable does she use? 3.5 or 4.5?
That's a 3.5, no doubt about it. It's on the ground.
Oh, she uses 3.5. Yeah. The auxiliary lining is 4.5mm. These two don't mix.
Oh no, we're going to be in this church forever.
Well, don't worry. Much like the bowls of water, this is a puzzle fake-out. The game hinting that you might have to do something. But don't worry, we don't.
Don't worry, I have an adapter for it right here.
He searches for the cable on the ground and picks it up, looking at the jack.
Hang on, this is a 4.5. We're all good, people!
With a grin, he sticks the plug into the auxiliary line in. You hear a satisfying click.
Whoa, thank God. Adapters noticeably degrade the sound quality.
Great! Someone got through to him. Okay, let's get it all set up. Can we turn the music off, please?
Egg, the music?
Everybody! Everybody! Don't panic! I'm going to turn off the Arno for just a sec. For a special scheduled event. The Arno will be back, but we're doing something else for one moment. Alright, go tell her that Egghead is ready to rave to her tunes. And then I'll turn off the music.
Should I try this now? Here, I think I will. Let's get set up for physical instrument real quick. Alright, physical instrument. We've already got a +1. That gives us a +2. Oh yeah, no, we've already got everything.
Good morning, comrade! Yeah! Hardcore!
He calls us comrade because we made him into a communist. Because we're communist in this playthrough.
No, that would be silly. Your body isn't for thinking. It's for robust, wholesome things. Things like discus, javelin, and 400-meter hurdles. Discus.
I'll be honest. I'm tempted to save scum this. I know we don't get another shot. Well, we might get another shot at it. We'll see if we get another shot at it after we make some changes.
Yes, what is it?
Alright, I talked to Egghead. He plugged in the cable. You can now unmute your speakers.
Okay, but think you can ask him to turn the volume down a bit? Just in case.
Maximum!
Shouts Egghead, a great smile still adorning his face, larger than a red dwarf star.
Maximum is the only way!
I know it is, but could you please turn it down just this instance? Just this one time? Maximum is not the only way, okay?
Pump it to the brick! Pump it to the hard master! There's no other way! Glue style!
Glue style? Okay, there literally is no other way. The mixing desk is glued to maximum.
See? He pumps it to the hard master. It's hopeless.
Why do you want to turn down the volume?
Because I'm afraid that something might happen. It's an unknown phenomenon. We can always turn it back up if there's a need.
Can't turn down to hardcore!
I think what Egghead is trying to say is that the volume button is stuck on maximum.
Of course it is.
She shrugs, consigned to her fate.
Yeah! Permanent enlightenment! Ray of sound!
Never mind then. Let's get on with our project. I'm going to unmute the speakers on a count of 5. Everyone ready?
She looks around the church.
Egghead pumps his hand up in the air, waiting for the beat to drop.
Born ready.
Says Andre.
Ready.
Yells Noid.
I'm ready if you two are detectives.
The lieutenant nods stoically.
He does everything stoically.
Not so stoically. His hand moves to the gun holster.
I don't know how he plans to shoot a sound but I think that's just indicating that he's trained. He goes for his gun in times of stress, similar to when we first encountered the ice bear fridge.
Suddenly, your palms are sweaty. The church seems cold and large, somehow.
Okay, ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mute disengaged.
She lifts her hand from the keyboard. Complete silence fills the room.
No wind outside, no waves, no floorboards creaking. Total, continuous silence. This is unnatural. The woman looks around. In the silence, you see dust move on the floorboards. The driver of the speaker vibrates in the air and then stops. Plasterwork begins to crumble down the walls. In the silence, a low hum starts creeping up your spine. It's a song inside you, not in the speakers, not in the room. A great bass sigh in the basement of your mind. Slowly, it builds until the air around you starts to vibrate. It's out there now, in the world. Made manifest. The floorboards, the glass, the streets and the people. Nothing will remain.
Guys, what's going on?
There's alarm in the man's voice as he steps back to scan the surroundings. A slight rattle like crystal clattering in the cupboard fills the air, joining the chorus.
This fragile world is about to break.
It's getting louder.
Says Noid, his eyes riveted on the strange circle of water basins.
In the basins, the water looks like it's boiling.
Hosiana! Mother of Mega!
You hear Egghead yell, then something else, but his voice is growing faint. Hey, what's that weird rattling sound?
The beauty and the beat! The future of dance! Planetary!
No, Egg! It's the window!
The glass shards around Dolores Day's vacant heart appear to be vibrating from the sound. It almost looks as if she's alive.
In the corner of your eye, the lieutenant steps aside, cautiously, his eyes searching for a possible evacuation route.
The window is going to come down. No, the roof!
She looks up. A screech fills the air, a scream of wood and nails. The pillars of the church twist and creak above and around you.
Cracks appear on the stained glass window. Cracks run up the wooden pillars in the dark.
Come down to earth! Love!
It's shaking the building's foundation. The floor twists. A great pulse arises in your flesh.
That's it. I'm muting it.
She reaches for the keyboard. Your options are, oh, I want to dance with somebody. Yeah, we should stop. Suna, mute it. Or everybody, don't panic. It's beautiful. I don't think it's that beautiful. I want to dance with somebody.
Oh! I want to feel the heat with somebody!
One of the rare lyrics from Egghead that is not from Scooter.
Shit! It doesn't stop. A seal? Have you?
The woman is furiously pressing down on her keyboard, but the sound doesn't stop.
Yes, I've turned it off.
She yells, holding the contact mic in her hand.
The mic is nothing. This has nothing to do with Mike.
Andre, pull the compressor! The place is gonna come down!
Fuck! I can't shut it up! The signal's passed! It's not in here! It's...
In the mixing desk now, building into a positive feedback loop. This is it. A great roar. The vault of the roof twists above you. Glass shatters somewhere near the door. It's coming down.
Egghead, it's in the desk.
And then it stops. Totally and utterly. As if there never was a sound. Only your ears still ring from the shock. Everybody is staring at Egghead, holding a dangling cable in his hand. A black 3-pin connector.
Egg,
I pulled the plug. It was getting too hardcore.
You did good, Egg. Most of the place seems to be intact. Fucking hell. Programmer lady, tell me you were recording that.
4 years. 22 people. Millions of reals. All that time? This is what we were up against. Just erased it. Suliswolf isn't gonna believe this.
Yeah, but did you record it though? It was dope. I think we can use it.
Yes, Andre. I recorded it. Damn, I need to send some letters now.
She composes herself, wipes the dust off her sweater, and rests her hands on the keyboard.
Thank you all for doing this. Eggman, you too. And you, officer. I don't know what we've discovered, but I know what it sounds like now. That's a start.
Kim, did you hear that?
It was very hard not to. I think you're right. There is something going on here. And you need to be very careful with it.
I promise, officer. We will not play it again.
What was that? I've never heard anything like that.
It was mathematical information from the anomaly, presented as a waveform. That's what it was technically. Theoretically...
She shakes her head.
I have no idea. I've never even heard of anything like this.
A voice seems muffled in the silent church. It's your ears adjusting after the exposure.
You're going to write Sulislav?
Yes, our lead designer. And maybe some of the producers too. And some of the writers. If they're sober enough to open a transmission. They need to hear. They need to hear about this. Don't worry, I won't send the recording. Although I doubt they have the speakers to produce the frequency anyway.
I will note that if we had a different stat build, and I'm only mentioning this because I think it's important to Suna's character, in between they need to hear and they need to hear about this, there would be an empathy stat chiming in. They need to hear it's not my fault. She has been pursuing this in the name of scientific inquiry, but on an emotional level, one that Suna doesn't admit to herself, it's because she wanted to prove that the loss of data and the failure of the video game project was not because of a call she made. What happens now? Are you going to...
Stay here. I'm going to stay here with these lunatics. Send letters, maybe meet Suliswolf. Also devise further measurements.
I want you to know that's totally chill with us.
I don't care, but thank you anyway.
That's the best she can manage for Andre. It's quite a lot in truth. For her, at least.
Now, I have a theory to come up with. Some kind of preliminary explanation to all this. Or the letter will sound like I've lost my mind.
Yes, and we have to get back to stabilizing Martinez. Instead of demolishing it with loud bass noise of unknown origins.
Some tiny hard thing lets go in your stomach. You're still alive. You have an explanation for all this. Somewhere deep in you, you know. The person you were knows.
And fortunately, we've already got quite a few points in logic. And we get bonuses because we've heard of the doomed commercial area, we've investigated the doomed commercial area, we've heard of Motorway South, and we're a cop of the apocalypse.
You don't have to. You already have. A long time ago.
Wait, how?
These thoughts formed in you somewhere, in a long-forgotten discussion, behind the kitchen table, in the evening light, drinking coffee and smoking, with a friend.
Suna, it is the origin point of the Pale.
What?
The swallow. That's how it starts. It's baby Pale.
But Pale isn't here. We're thousands of kilometers from the edge.
No. We are 20 meters from the very edge.
She looks up into the darkness under the nave, then back at you. You have her full, undivided attention. The lieutenants, too. He takes his glasses off.
The pale is only an effect, a transition between the world and that.
Then, what is that?
It's nothing. No, it's less than nothing.
It's less than nothing. The final rest state for reality. Imagine if all this never was.
Then the pale is...
Simply a gradient.
But the gradient, it clearly hasn't started yet. We're here, and the pale is not.
One day when it's larger, it will be.
I understand. A theory of the pale where instead of an outer ocean, it metastasizes. Like a cancer or a mold. Erupting in points inside the world.
This is one of those places.
According to this, how long?
Until it starts swallowing? It's already started, starting with sound.
And information, causing data losses in the East Insulindian front. Have you considered why it's formed in a church? And also when or how it might start growing, or if it has other effects in addition to sound and data?
Now, I'm just going to mention, I think this is basically how the pale operates. The people of this world are predominantly concerned with the areas around swallows, where information is gobbled up. Sound, sight, smell, and even past and future, mathematics and position and velocity. All reality is composed of two things, actuality and information. Rocks and the number 3. The pale swallows up the number 3, but in theory the rock still exists. That's why you can throw an airship through the pale and it comes out the other side, as long as it doesn't hit one of the swallows inside the pale. The church, I think, helped to keep the pale at bay because it fed information up into the spire. All those people worshiping, singing, praying, that was information that was swallowed up. And when the other stave churches were destroyed in the revolution 50 years ago, and when this church was abandoned, that feeding of the swallow stopped, which is why it's been able to grow ever since. Anyway, it's just a theory, one that Harry has as well, and all theories, well, they're never perfect. There's always more that you don't yet know. That's what science is.
I also have a question, since we are piling them on. How do you know this? I'm not doubting you. I'm simply curious as to how a detective of the RCM...
I think I've had this thought before. That's how I know.
An amateur anthropomedic police officer. I'd like to say I've heard stranger things, but I'm not sure. This is a hell of a guess, however. Well worded, I might add.
Yes, it is very interesting. But I wouldn't say you know. This is a guess. One that's going to have to be proved by anthropometric scientists.
It is a hypothesis and must be experimented upon. It didn't form in a church. The church formed around it.
Of course! A pine wood sarcophagus, or a containment facility of some kind, built by the first settlers.
Yes, acting on an instinctual level, or religious practices we've forgotten.
I have considered the same. The bad news is, there were 7 pinewood churches built in the first decade of Revachol settlement. Most of them were burnt down during the revolution, or repurposed before, during the suzerain. I'm not saying all of them have one in them, but...
All the failed businesses in the doomed commercial area, all the failure in Martinez.
You think the presence of that puncture has somehow influenced the outcome of events here? Even, say, software development?
Yes, even the revolution was defeated here. I mean, a kind of anthropometric history.
I told the producers we need to go and move to a normal office building. with amenities. But no, the artists like the milieu, the writers like the history. I told them.
I should let people still working in there know about this. They might be affected.
You mean Plaisance and the dice maker? There was almost no one left when we packed up.
Yes, both of them deserve to know.
Then go tell them.
One day, all the world will be like that 2mm hole.
She falls silent. The wind blows in through the hole in the stained glass window, cold and moist.
I'm going to leave that out. But the rest, some of this I can use to start to explain this to the rest of the team. Maybe I'll sound mad, but...
Man, you will certainly sound mad.
One more thing. Maybe a club for anodic music isn't the worst thing you can erect around this particular point in space.
The club is the only thing keeping this place and the rest of reality together.
I wouldn't go so far as to...
Yeah! Once the light is on in the universe, it will never go out!
Thank you, Egghead. Let's leave it at that, shall we? We have anthroponetic detection to perform in this district.
I do have one mystery that still needs solving. The radio ghost in the doomed commercial area's electronic doorbell.
The creepy woman! We were wondering about that when we worked there, but I had completely forgotten about it ever since. It must be anthroponetic crosstalk, the one you get in radios and long-distance calls. Now it makes sense, with the pail right on the doorstep.
Incredible. This would also explain why we get it on the police radio all the time.
Intraplanetic crosstalk?
It's quite common, actually. When the signal gets routed through pail, all kinds of irregularities take place. You may hear snippets of someone else's conversation, or the voice of your former lover, or an echo of an event that took place 100 years ago.
We're going to hear something later on. I'll go ahead and spoil it. It's not only the past that you can hear, it's the future.
Pale is a shroud of memories, and it doesn't really distinguish to whom those memories belong to. You could hear anything.
That makes sense. Thanks for explaining that to me.
Anytime.
Right, I'll leave you to work in peace now. Now, I am really hoping that gives us another shot at this check.
Good morning, comrade! Yeah!
Yes!
Harder car!
92%. Still not guaranteed. Tempted to drink. This is our last bit of booze. It's been said, and I actually really like this, Disco Elysium doesn't actually have a mechanic like you would expect for your alcoholism or your drug addiction. You would think in most games that there would be some sort of withdrawal symptom or some sort of mechanic that would require you to take drugs numerically. But all it has to do is give the gamer a little boost to their stats. And the addiction? Well, it happens right in your own head. Screw it, I'm going for it. I really don't want to save scum, and I really want to make this check. Nummy nummy.
Good morning, comrade! Yeah! Harder
Okay.
car!
We only lose this on Snake Eyes.
You know it in your
There we
lungs where the pressure should vibrate, in your heart that's alone, and in your solar plexus where the hits should land. So does every Corday animal.
Needs more bass. I'm kidding. Needs more bass.
What?
The young man makes a sudden move like he's about to turn the volume down, but that would be ridiculous. And a melody. A good melody is what makes the song really stick so that you can't get it out of your head anymore.
Wow, okay. We should start with the melody. But where would we get that stuff from?
I don't know. I was thinking you would know.
I'm sorry. I don't know anything about Nordic music. I'm just the party boy. I get the people going and say it's hardcore.
Okay, I'll look into it. In an official capacity, it's up to the police to make the beats go harder.
The young man falls silent with appreciation. He even tries to contain his smile, as if it could hinder your investigation.
Basically, what you need to find here is a tape with some banging music on it, so that Egghead could use it to remix Fan 8's jam.
Yeah, maybe that street talker across the pawn shop has got some tapes to sell. That's just an idea.
No, Shivers knows where it is. Shivers?
There is a hawthorn tree on Rue de Saint-Ghislain, right next to the canal. A reel of magnetic tape is caught in its branches, like bronze ribbons blowing in the wind.
Rue de Saint-Ghislain. I've been there.
Oh, I know! I know this! I can tell you where it is!
St. G is the boulevard before the canal bridge. The one that takes you to the whirling in rags and the industrial harbour. It's got the lanterns and the...
They're really giving you a lot of hints of where to go here. Although, to be fair, you wouldn't know otherwise. There's no logical reason to do this.
I knew that! I could have said that!
and the mosaic sidewalk.
But it's all blocked with that stupid traffic jam right now. Anyway.
It feels cold.
Does it?
He looks around, looking for the cold. Shake it.
Anyway, that's all yours to figure out, Copman.
Copman!
Whoa, that was a crazy sound we heard before.
Yeah! It was awesome and scary. Very hardcore.
His voice booms through the chamber, then gets silent.
Too hardcore, in fact. I couldn't control it at all.
What happened?
It sucks up all the air in the mix until it's the only thing left. Starts compressing itself and everything around it. Completely fills up the headspace. Extreme!
Inside your chest, the heart beats still with the after effects of the sound. Imagine if you could harness that power, making it pulse.
Is there anything we can do about it?
Oh! I don't know. Maybe someone can do something with this. I imagine this is the sounds that the future could make.
Sounds like the future could be even more hardcore than I ever imagined.
Yeah!
This is the Door Gunner Megamix. There is an option to give that to Egghead. He doesn't like it. A, it's not a song, and B, it's a horrible man bragging about war crimes and, in theory, planning to rape someone. So we're not gonna do that. Bye, Egg. Let's go to that hawthorn tree. Fast travel. He doesn't have tapes to sell. The tape we need is here.
The hawthorn tree on Rue de Saint-Ghislain. Bronze-colored ribbons of magnetic tape are caught in its branches, fluttering in the breeze. Just like promised, you've stood here for what seems like eons, guzzling the sickly fumes of lorries and carriages.
Good hawthorn.
Patting the tree reveals a small sticker which has almost been worn to oblivion. It reads, RCM Emergencies Desk, number 8102, underneath a slogan, Mankind, be vigilant. You tree-hugging pansy. The bronze ribbon twists around and within the branches in an intricately natural pattern. But there's something.
What do I see?
There's a twisted logic in this mess. You see the ends of the ribbon, the way it flows, how it twists and turns. It's all starting to make sense. It'll be easier to remove now.
So this again is a check that we only fail on Snake Eyes. We have done the calculations, we've got our multi-tool, and we get a bonus because we sang karaoke.
With slow and deliberate motions, pulling, bending, and unraveling, you manage to extricate the magnetic tape from the branches. It curls up into a mess inside your pocket. If only you could find a way to re-spool it, so that you could hear what's on the tape. Maybe Roy from the pawn shop can help you with this.
What's the tape for?
The lieutenant looks at the mess in your hands. Only after you've successfully cleaned up the branches does the curiosity get him. It's for Egghead. I promised to make his Van Aches jam a bit harder. Maybe this tape can help.
How? It's broken and unspooled. Do you think your new buddy knows how to fix it?
I think at least one of the ravers would know how to fix a broken tape if they want to set up a nightclub.
You could also get it fixed at the pawn shop across the street. We shouldn't waste our time.
He looks at his wristwatch a little impatiently.
Good idea. He might have the tools. The tape projector in the pawn shop uses similar tape.
Much like the hawthorn tree, we're getting plenty of clues of where to go next. Although this makes sense, we know that Roy is an audiophile who was looking for the Col de Mama Dakwa years ago.
Hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
Hey, do you know how to fix this?
You mean re-spool it? Yeah, I do, but...
Great. Could you do it, please? This is important. I need to be able to play this tape for someone.
But I'm not some Mr. Fix-It. I'm a pawnbroker. If you want to pawn the tape, sure. Although it looks pretty... worthless.
Wait, you tinker with film tapes all the time. Isn't that the same?
No, it's different. Those film tapes actually mean something to me. But this is just a worthless bundle of old tape.
Worthless? It's not worthless, Roy. This could be the next big thing for the local dance music scene.
Huh? What do you mean?
Do you know that old church down the coast?
Yes. What about it?
I helped some young ravers turn this place into a nightclub, and they play these weird beats there, which they call anodic music.
Is it any good? The music, I mean.
No, that's the thing. You can't believe how unbelievably thin the beat is. There's nothing to it, no bass. It just goes zoop, zoop, zoop. But this tape could make it hardcore.
Man, you're really invested in this.
He looks at the bundle of tape in front of him. It shimmers under the shop's dazzling light show.
Okay, I'll help you out. It's going to take a moment, though, so just sit back and relax.
Don't mind if I do.
You take some time to look around the store. The play of visuals all around the pawn shop is mesmerizing. Suddenly, Roy turns back to you with a reel of tape in his hand and coughs. You know these visuals would look super cool in the church.
Hey, those visuals you've got here would look great in the church. Point to the lights in the pawn shop.
Yeah, I bet they would. All those lights in a massive church hall.
He stares at the intricate interplay of light and shadow all around him, suddenly moved by the idea.
A sanctuary filled with hand-picked positive photons. There would be no room for sadness in such a place. It's a brilliant vision.
You and me? We could make this all become true. Mankind needs this.
Yeah, man, no. I rather like this place happy too. You know, where I work. This tape is all I can do for you and your friend's nightclub project.
He nods at the fixed tape on the countertop.
There's no way to turn this around, I'm afraid.
Yep. Unfortunately, rhetoric, which is our skill associated with communism, knows the truth. You can't convince someone to contribute to a collective effort if it means they have to give up their own security and comfort. Well, thanks for the help.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'll do what I can for true passion projects. Just try not to use this tape for negative photon emissions. take responsibility. Okay.
Can do. Let's head out. Alright. Get out here so we can trigger fast travel. And let's go give the tape to Egghead. Oh, I forgot I wasn't running. Sorry, Dolores.
Good morning, comrade! Yeah! Harder, car!
I found this reel of tape. Maybe you can use it to hard up Ike's jam. Give him the fixed Hawthorne Tree tape.
Yeah! Remix time!
His voice
Tape goes
booms.
here, into deck B.
Pardon me. His voice booms through the church as he takes the tape and attaches it to the empty reel slot. He clicks a switch. The tape starts spinning.
A hand on his ear. He listens to the audio through his headphones and shouts.
Wow! Did you get this from Arno himself?
What do you mean?
Listen, I'm just going to show it to you. Ready?
Ready. There we go. Somewhat less monotonous.
Wow! Here's that? The signs match perfectly! Now, if only we had the beat for the full assault, it would be unbelievably hyper!
What is this? It's good. How did you guys do that?
You're right. It's uncanny how well it all goes together. Something else must be going on here.
Yes, but what if Van Eyck based his remix on some forgotten local melody, like a folk song? And you just found the original piece that inspired him to create this jam? That would explain why it fits so well.
Nah, to me it sounds like classic Van Eyck. I don't think he needs any inspiration from folk songs. Maybe he lives in Martinez and just threw away part of his song because he thought it wasn't good enough?
I think it's just happenstance. Chaos in action. Contingencies of our limited existence. That and Egghead's fantastic talent.
He nods to his friend behind the turntables. You know, I think in much the same way that I'm playing this game, a lot of success in life is down to preparation and chance, but also being fortunate enough to be able to have multiple tries at it. It's not often you get a redo.
Noid's right. Egghead's technical talent is the key. No, this is definitely part of the same song. Something cut from it. It fits too well. Something mysterious is going on here.
Alright, so now we get our option to say which of these things we think is true, or at least most significant. Local folk song, Van Eyck must live around here, or it's luck and Egghead's incredible mixing skills. No, we don't have any evidence for either of these, but we do have evidence of Egghead's skills.
Be how it may, if it fits, it fits! Bring up the volume!
What about the bass? Do you have any ideas for that?
Andre looks back at you.
Yeah, I remember. You said it needs more bass.
Oh, we're not done with our remix yet.
I think you might know the answer.
What if we used that crazy sound assault from Suna's experiment, but contained it, tamed it, made it pulse?
But how?
What about that compressor Andre was setting up to achieve some sort of parallel processing?
Don't be too hard on yourself if you don't figure it out. I think the jam's already pretty ultra.
But it could be hyper hardcore!
Interface. How are we doing on interfacing? That's our signature skill. Well, we've got 2 more slots we can improve it by and 3 skill points to play with. I don't think we need to take speed. Let's go.
Bzz, bzz, bzz. goes the track in the background, never ending. You can't grasp what's missing, but you can try to make something up anyway.
Whereof one cannot speak, one ought to remain silent.
The young man bobs his head to the music, much as before.
Let's spend some money. By money, I mean points.
Good morning, comrade! Yeah! Harder, come!
Sidechain the
There we
beat.
go. Sidechain? What does it even mean?
Listen, you can use the compressor to select between which track it's compressing, either the auxiliary signal or the main input from the tape. Make it alternate between the signals. The compressor controls the gain based on the level of the signal on the aux sidechain input. It will allow maintaining a loud sound without peaks that fill up all the headspace.
Okay, Egg, you need to start sidechaining it. Explain the concept to him.
Sidechaining it, you said?
He turns down the music, his hands moving deftly across the mixer, setting up the necessary controls.
Then he puts on his headphones and his eyes go wide, wider than they've ever gone on drugs. He starts jumping up and down with bliss in total silence, still listening to his headphones.
Hey, what did you do to Egghead, Cop Man? Did you break him?
Just wait and see.
Are you ready, pussy?
Noid straightens his back, ready for the beat.
I was born ready, Egg.
Give him a thumbs up. There we go.
The audio assault is glorious. The speed freak dances on the stage, intensely waving his hand in the air.
This is beauty! This is life!
What in the world is going on? The way melody and bass flow together, it's unnatural.
We have tamed the sound, made it our own. Technology has a way of doing that. I mean, consider how we've tamed lightning, and I'm currently using it to talk to you.
God damn it! This dance club idea might just work out.
DeLorean Church! The place to be! Pump it! Pump it!
This is it. This is a new era. The fabric of the world has been irrevocably altered. Who would be the innocence of hardcore melodic dance music?
This is one of the lines that makes the fan community speculate that Harry might be an innocence. Alright, goodbye, Egghead. Okay. Now that we've got the sound,
Oh, hey, man. It's good to see you.
we need this. Savoir-faire.
Goodbye, officer.
Let's get our savoir-faire on. Nope, not those. Wrong shoes. We want these, actually. This is a bit of a spoiler for what's about to happen, but even though I'll admit I messed up and we didn't get to talk to the pigs, I'm glad that we maxed out our authority, because we're about to need it. Okay, savoir-faire. Savoir-faire. Not the pants, not the shoes. I find it interesting that our cool disco gear that we started out with makes us worse at dancing. Although, it makes us worse at dancing to music that isn't disco music. So, I guess that makes sense. Savoir-faire, come on. Gotta have some. You can see I've already got at least one. Well, that's it.
Oh, hey, man. It's good to see you.
83%. And I believe we can... Yeah, we've still got plenty of room to put points in that. No problem. We're getting this.
You close your eyes and
You
dream
are
of the
kidding
shapes
me.
your body should form to bring this strange music into life. For now, such ferocity of emotion is beyond you.
But just imagine the moves you could pull to this futuristic beat.
Yeah, I agree, limbic system.
Goodbye, officer.
Let's try this again. Savoir faire. Level up.
Oh, hey, man. It's good to see you.
You close your eyes and vacate your skull, leaving your brain to wonder, where did that little fluttering light go?
Get ready, everyone. This is our magnum opus.
Total darkness. You sink down the darkest fathoms of your own personal deep, vertebrate by vertebrate, through the unformed skulls of your mind. Here it will begin.
Where did the church go?
Who fucking cares?
Good.
No, not good. Orgasmic.
Where did the music go?
Oh, don't worry. The music's still there. It's you who is gone.
No, really, why can't I hear anything?
This is a pivotal moment. Try not to piss yourself.
Concentrate on hearing.
Nothing. Just the immaculate silence of your spinal fluid. Electrified.
It comes to you like a blue whale. You sense it stir the tranquility of the deep. A single note of bass passing through. Then it's gone. Back to El Silencio.
This is where the beat plunged. It will resurface soon. Brace for glory.
What was that about unformed skulls?
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Every vertebrae in your spine is an unformed skull ready to pop up and replace the old one. Like shark teeth. The one you're currently in has a little brain forming in it, waiting for its turn.
Cool.
To rule the world.
As it ought to be. Where is it?
In the spinal cord.
What do you want?
From what I can see, it's about to bust a move.
Okay, spinal cord. Let's bust a move.
Foolhardy. Do you even know what's happening on the surface? Maybe 1,000 years have passed. Or maybe you started spazzing out like 2 seconds ago.
No, I'm reasonably certain that the lights are still going in the church because we can see them through the dialogue menu.
With your eyes still closed, the first thing you feel, all the way back in the pivoting darkness of your own torso, is warmth. You have become a triumph of rhythmoplastics, somewhere in a smelly wooden church on the coast of Revachol. The wounds from the war you waged on your body are healing, twist by twist, turn by turn. As you open your eyes, you should scream, hyper, hyper. It seems appropriate.
As you wish, conceptualization. We are, after all, art cop. Hyper, hyper!
You have become a flawless interlocking mechanism, a flesh and bone approximation of the throb coming from the speaker setup of the one called Eggheads, entirely, rigidly, imbecile, without pity or fear, free from self-awareness, No deliberation. Only, and I mean only, execution.
Oh my god! No way!
The Speed Freak's would-be leader stands slack-jawed in disbelief at the hardcoreness on display. He whispers to himself. This is really happening.
With his reel-to-reel mixer blasting the anthem of a future that will never come, the young man observes your moves for a second.
Then blasts into the same hideous pattern.
He throws a screwdriver and a bunch of drill chucks into the corner and explodes into dance. What he lacks in sharpness, he more than makes up for in violent enthusiasm.
Dance! It's the law!
The young man immediately bounces up and down, then assumes the same dance pattern, embellishing it with some sort of waving motion. The authority of the law is clearly unquestionable.
Kim, get in here.
What's going on here? Delinquents.
The lieutenant looks at you and the Speed Freaks grinding around in the church, a group of unhinged lunatics. Kim, we know, does not think much of youth culture. At least, certainly not of pinball.
This is clearly a Code 31 emergency.
Code 31! Code 31!
The lieutenant squeezes the bridge of his nose. The lights reflect off his glasses.
The Code 31 emergency? Really?
Yes, officer in need of assistance. On the dance floor!
The lieutenant crosses his arms with a bemused look.
What's happening?
The lieutenant is forced to yell over the futuristic music blasting from the speakers. I have become Dance, destroyer of worlds.
Good for you. Rock on, man.
Somehow, he managed to hear him sigh.
Hey, I called you to dance.
What?
We get one shot at this. It's a red check. And like I said, I'm glad we beefed up our authority, even if we didn't get a chance to talk to the pigs with it. But I'm gonna be honest, this one, we really want to make. And I'm not going to say it's coming. Everybody cross every finger you've got.
Who's the one in charge? You are.
Yes. Lieutenant, I am only gonna pull rank on you one time, and that time is now.
Are you kidding me?
I assure you, I am not. Get your groove on, Lieutenant.
Get my what on?
The lieutenant leans closer, unable to make out your words over the pumping beats. I said get your goddamn groove on! Boogie woogie!
Sheesh, okay.
He backs up with his hands raised in the air, observing the crisscross of your feet.
Okay, you psychopath. I see what you're doing there. It's jacked up footwork, plus is that Ubi folk dancing?
Nah, it's not Ubi folk. It's hardcore.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You talk a big talk, Lieutenant. Let's see some moves.
Oh yeah? I did 15 years in the juvenile crime unit. I can do age inappropriate. Now, check this shit out.
The lieutenant begins to heel kick the church floor with such intensity, it's reasonable to fear he'll kick a hole right through it, causing the floor to crack and the pillars to collapse, bringing the church roof down on all of you.
Is there anything more I can do? I want to break the limit.
The dynamic motion of your flailing body is bordering on the extreme. You're going off the charts. You feel as if turning on the hyperdrive would be a point of no return. It feels almost melancholy. Are you sure you have the entire posse along for this?
Together! Where are you? We're sort of turning into a bit of a party boy ourselves.
Here we go again. Hardcore fills the air. The sound above my head.
The sound above your what?
Above my hair, man.
Okay, this is too imbecile. Excuse me.
Alright, Shivers. You told us Revachol would meet us here. Speak to me, City.
On the coast of the Martinez Inlet, in a small weather-beaten stone church built 380 years ago by settlers from the Occident, most likely to guard against an anomaly at its center, an officer of the RCM is contorting his body into idiotically rigid shapes as he invents the future of dance music. It's the hardest anyone has ever danced.
What is this strange feeling I keep having? This cold, even now.
I am la Revacholière. I am the city.
What do you mean you are the city?
I am a fragment of the world spirit, the genius Loki of Revachol. My heart is the wind corridor. The bottom of my air is red. I have 100,000 luminous arms. Come morning, I carry industrial dust and let it settle on tree leaves. I shake the dust from those leaves and onto your coat. I've seen you. I've seen you. I've seen you with her. And I've seen you without her. I've seen you on the crescent of the hill.
How are you talking to me?
The modulations of my voice are noted down with thermometers and barometers. You feel me in your nostrils, on the little hairs on the back of your neck. I also reside in your lungs and vestigial organs. Everywhere there is space.
But who am I? Why are you talking to me?
You are an officer of the citizens' militia, Jante and Rebut. When you wear your coat, you wear my soul. You move through my streets freely, in motor carriages and on foot. You have access to the hidden places. You also circulate among those who are hidden.
If a city is made up of people, and the structures that those people create, like cells in a body, we are a white blood cell, traveling everywhere.
I need you. You can keep me on this earth. Be vigilant. I love you.
Now, Shivers, much like Inland Empire, is legitimately paranatural in the context of this game. And we know that Inland Empire connects to other realities, including the reality in which this game was programmed. Inland Empire has made references to things in your world, but not in the world of Elysium. As I've said, in the novel that Robert Kurwitz wrote, Revachol is destroyed. But that takes place 20 years after the events of this game. I believe that the world spirit of Revachol reaches out to us. And it is this game, and Harry Dubois, innocence or no, creates multiple possibilities, multiple timelines, many of which Revachol does not and cannot be destroyed. The existence of the video game Disco Elysium is an act of self-defense by this world spirit, using Harry Dubois to generate multiple possible futures. Escape routes. I mean, it makes as much sense as your vertebrae being substitute skulls, so why not?
An officer of the RCM is lying on the floor of a small church with his eyes rolled back and his tongue lolling out. Several others are standing around him. He slowly comes to.
Alternately, we could just have had a seizure.
Had a good rest there?
I spoke to the city of Revachol.
Fuck yeah! I bet you did. Those were some advanced moves, man.
That's all great, but we should really get going. We spent enough time doing aerobic exercise for today.
Get up.
You might be imagining it, but it feels like Egghead turned the volume down. Such is his respect.
Man! Now, man! Now...
The would-be leader stutters with excitement.
Now imagine if we could do that, right? But with like 1,000 people. End of human development. Mission complete.
Right. Ecstatic.
All right.
You're absolutely beat. Muscles relaxed and feet like noodles underneath.
Well, that's it for now.
Goodbye, officer.
And that is as far as we are going with the whole church nightclub quest. There is one thing more that in theory we could do, but it's part of the moralist quest. And we're not going moralist on this playthrough, we're going communist. I will let you know that if we had chosen moralist, the next action would be to talk to Suna and decide to take on responsibility for addressing the anomaly, the apex of the church here. And if we do that, we contact the airship, Archer. We need to create an antenna out of the statue of the suzerain. And then the airship comes and takes us away, presumably so that we can become a part of the great bureaucratic solution to this problem. But I'll let you know, that's kind of a bad end. It's the only one of the political quests that ends in a game over rather than allowing you to solve the murder. Because the moralists take you away, and Harry Dubois is never heard from again. But I don't think that we need to address the anomaly at the top of the church. The church, as of right now, is fulfilling its function. It's filled with music, it's filled with joy and love, it's filled with people who care. And all of that will hold the Pale at bay. It has to. Anyway, we've got an actual plot to solve. Best of luck, guys. Alright. So before we continue on with Klasha and Lely and all that, there is one thing we learned in the church that I do want to talk to somebody about. We're gonna go confront Everard Clare about a cell. Hi everyone, long time no see. Keep up the good work. It is a little annoying that you can't fast travel closer to Everard, but I do kinda get it. Everard makes it difficult to get to him on purpose. That was the case for Joyce, and it's the case for us too. Even though I'm playing a damn video game. Not too bad. That was 20 seconds worth of walking. Hi, Everard.
Mr. Dubois, I hear the meeting with Titus was a glowing success. That's such a relief. Titus can be a handful sometimes.
Oh, very much so.
Now, what can Everard Clare do for you today?
I met a girl named Estelle who said she's working with you.
Funny. That doesn't ring any bells, Harry.
Funny. She was trying to set up a narcotics operation in the old church on the coast.
Oh, that Estelle. Yes, I do seem to remember sending a pretty young thing down there to liven up the place. Get some hypnotic music in there.
Did you also tell her to start the amphetamine lab?
Amphetamine lab? That sounds very immoral and debauched. Frankly, a health risk. But what do I know about kids these days? The music they listen to, the drugs they do while they listen to that music?
He shakes his head with a melancholy smile. I do appreciate how mechanically that would work. We needed a savoir-faire check specifically to be able to dance to that hypnotic music. And speed is the drug that boosts the relevant stat. It literally would help you dance to that music.
It sounds to me like you are trying to start an amphetamine lab in the district. And you're using some delinquents you found, God knows where, to set it up and run it for you.
The lieutenant says with an uncharacteristic note of contempt in his voice.
Found God knows where? That Estelle is the daughter of Miko the Kebab, a man who once killed a guy with a kebab. I think a daughter of a man who killed a man with a kebab can handle running a little nightclub, don't you?
Miko the Kebab, really?
Maybe it was Bogovic. Or Jakub. I think it might have been Conrad.
Anyway, I shut down the amphetamine production, but let them go on with the nightclub plan.
A nightclub? Harry, I'm an old-fashioned guy. After work, I like to listen to some rock and roll music and have a non-alcoholic lager. Nightclubs don't interest me.
As always, Everard Clare is trying to play up his connection and his camaraderie to the person that he imagines us to be. All while not admitting to any wrongdoing. Directly, anyway.
But here I am, talking about myself, when you have much more important things going on. Tell me, Harry, how can I help you?
That's as much as we get out of him for this. Alright, later. Time to get back to the main plot. I honestly forget whether we have to talk to Titus or Clash next, but that's why we have a journal. Actually, before we go through the journal, let's look at our thoughts, because we did recently unlock some thoughts, which again, we're not going to internalize. This slot is for something special. But we did get this. Arno van Eyck. The question won't leave you. Why did the melody line from a broken and discarded tape fit perfectly into a song played by some speed freaks in a frozen tent? Can it be a coincidence? Maybe it's the hand of the man-machine himself in his attempt to craft a perfect song. Maybe Egghead is actually Arno van Eyck in disguise? Eyck? Egg? I will let you know, if we follow through on this, we reveal that Egghead calls himself that because he is an egghead, not egghead. It's his pronunciation. It's in how he says yag with a G. And if we do successfully internalize this thought, we gain the ability to see Arno van Eyck posters that are actually all around the setting. We just can't notice them until after we have the thought. This other one, though, is a little more personal. Cleaning out the rooms. Someone's been walking around in your dreams lately, looking for something. Tidying up, rearranging, storing away all the unrealized dreams, putting old pains in boxes. The worst nightmares have settled down for a while. A spot of light on the bedroom door after the dark. The fluttering of eyelids in the spring sun. A thought that arises only to disappear again. And yet, there's a pattern emerging. This thought allows us to confront and realize the fact Your amnesia is obviously selective. It's real. Harry Dubois legitimately doesn't know details about the world, and we have had to learn them over the course of this game. But his brain picked and chose what to keep and what to get rid of, editing his own mind. And I'll let you know, there is some dialogue elsewhere in the game that indicates this isn't the first time he's done this. He has literally drank himself into a stupor before because changing around what his brain can do helped him solve a case, and more importantly, helped him deal with his life. There is a great pain at the center of Harry Dubois, one that we have not yet actually touched. It's only in one pathway of dialogue, and it is more than possible to complete the game without hitting it. I am planning on going down that path, but I'll let you know right now, all the darkness, all the pain, all the sorrow that you've seen until now, well, buckle up. Well, buckle up several weeks from now. It's not for a while yet. Anyway, oh, right, journal. Yeah, we have to talk to Plaisance and the Dice Maker. Okay, so we did talk to Klaja about the Door Gunner Megamix. So next we have to go back to Titus and tell him that Klaja thinks it's not a big deal that he has Lely on tape, quote-unquote, planning to sexually assault her. It's all just a really, really, really tasteless joke. Really tasteless. And it doesn't explain and it doesn't justify shooting him in the head and then covering up that shooting in the head with a lynching. Something, as yet, does not add up.
It's you again. What is it?
So I talked to Klaja about the tape.
And?
He tenses immediately. Chest tightens. Jaw sets. Ready for another blow.
And nothing. She stands by what she said.
That fucking fucker. You're the worst cops in Revachol. I gave you gold on that tape.
That fucker wasn't aimed at you. It was at her. You caught him off balance. Push, and he would give way.
It was dark stuff, but it didn't prove anything. And it didn't change her mind.
Dark. Dark is when you start a goddamn death rock band. He said he'd rape her.
He shakes his head in disbelief.
What did she have to say then? Fine by her? This is what people are supposed to be like? Fucking whoop-de-doo.
It did not come as a surprise to her, and she definitely wasn't scared.
Yes. In fact, I think she thought it was a little funny.
Funny? No good goddamn psycho whore.
Titus Hardy might not be a great guy.
Seems like they wanted to give Klaja a second chance to play along. She still didn't.
Right. Oh, fucking righty then. I guess it's good then. That fucking
Please try to control yourself in the presence of visitors, Titus.
Her voice is a bit softer than earlier.
This is just perfect. Just fucking perfect. Any thoughts on this, lawman?
Titus rubs his chin with his palm as if trying to grind it smooth.
Women are crazy. Irrational. That's what you're thinking, right? Also, your fists are itching for a bump.
That's our toxic masculinity talking. We want to say, yeah, women, they're crazy bitches. But no, we're not giving this option. I think you had a lie planned, but she didn't play along.
I asked for your opinion, not a bedtime story. Tell it to your grandma.
This tape was the last chance for her to do what was planned.
But she didn't. She knows she can't lie to us, unlike you.
Oh no. He's definitely compromised too. It's his hubris. Sadly, not much to do about it now.
Yeah, I will say, if Kim has a fatal flaw Greek tragedy style, hubris. I could see it.
Fantastic. So now, you remember how to do your job. I'm so sick of this piss. We should get something harder in here.
Yeah, guys! We should get a party going tonight!
Why?
Maybe not then.
Success. They admitted to unlawful collaboration to derail the investigation.
Be straight with me, Titus. What really happened?
I already told you. We fucking hanged him.
The man is slowing down. Looks like a bad blood sugar crash. He can't keep track of all the variables anymore. Who could? It's getting harder and harder to perform one's part in this sordid play. All it takes is a nudge.
Come on, Titus. We know you didn't hang him. He was shot. I know you're tired. So am I. Why don't you just...
You know what? I am tired. I'm tired of you and the whore upstairs. Next time you see her, tell her Titus said, "Fuck on!"
He throws his beer can down.
That lying, scamming. We're done. This is over. You understand? Your little investigation is over.
I didn't know you could just tell cops that. I'm gonna have to remember that.
Yeah.
There is a silence in the room. Elaine starts saying something, then thinks best not to.
On the floor, beer drips out of the can into a small puddle. No one does anything about it.
What is this quiet funeral shit? All we need is some beers in us. Bartender, 20 beers for the Dock Workers Union.
Why do we make it 40, huh? Why do we make it 100 beers? You're not loud enough.
100 beers? Now we're talking. Hoppity hop over here, cafeteria manager.
Okay, now we get to convince Titus he's being manipulated. Which is easy to do because we already know we're being manipulated. And we get a lot of bonuses because we've done a lot of plot stuff.
Convince Titus he's being manipulated. You should know by now. Titus Hardy will never falter.
Admitting he's being manipulated would be admitting that he has a weakness. And Titus is nothing if not about projecting strength.
But you know someone who might.
That's it then. Case closed. We're going home, Kim.
Huh?
Lieutenant raises his brow.
He'll get it. Go on.
Write it down, Kim. In Martinez, they just kill you because they don't like you.
Got it. Kill you because they don't like you. All because...
Because you work for the wrong people.
Goddamn right. This is Union Town. You work for the company, we will kill you.
Shanky really doesn't know when to shut up. Holy cow.
Fuck, Dennis. We don't kill you if you work for the company. Half the harbor works for the company.
Work for the wrong company, and they execute you.
They just hang you, shoot you, whatever. They can't even remember.
It wasn't that. It wasn't...
We didn't shoot him.
And there it is. Wonder who did.
That's it. That's the weak one. You flushed him out. Now go in for the...
Officer, you will be next if you don't shut up.
The old man reaches for his belt, but his voice is strangely calm.
Firearm, a Glass 08 or a 38 caliber pistol. Either is small enough for you to have missed. He's onto you. He knows what you're trying to do.
Or what? You're gonna kill me like you killed him? For no fucking reason?
We didn't kill him. We didn't even hang him. He was dead when...
He takes a breath, wheezing.
Shut up, Angus!
He was dead before you hanged him.
Fatty! Say one more thing to the cops and I'll...
Dennis, stand down, or I'll beat your head in. Theo, take your hand off the belt. This isn't 31. I've got this under control.
Does he? His closed fist is shaking. It's you who's in control. Let them have their moment.
The room falls quiet. So quiet you can hear Angus wheeze.
Angie, where's your goddamn inhaler? You sound like you're dying.
Now, I'd just like to point out, because this will be relevant later, notice how Titus is always coming to Angus's defense, always sticking up for him so that the others can't bully him, and he happens to know about his inhaler. These two are connected.
I left it home. I can't get it. I'm too fucked. I'm sorry.
Why are you so fucking fat, Angus? Now it's all pointless. Because of you. You wasted my time. I told you, Titus. I told you just give her up.
Lizzie, your help is no longer needed here. Go tell Ebrard.
Fine. I'll tell him. After a long walk along the coast.
She walks off without looking back.
You're in. He's all yours. Questions?
So you didn't kill him. He was already dead.
He nods.
You hanged the corpse to cover up the real cause of death. The bullet in his head.
Another nod.
Why?
Because the girls asked us to. They were in some shit.
Girls plural? There's another girl? 2 of them? Take note of this. They'll probably say more about her later.
Did she kill him?
Cop, I have no idea. The girl says she didn't.
What happened Sunday night?
Classier came down. She seemed really out of it. Drugged up, even more than usual. Bug-eyed and gurning, you know? Not in a fun way. It looked like she'd redosed after something went down. I've seen that look before. She was scared. I knew someone had died.
How did you know?
I've done this job for 10 years. I've seen it before. It's the politician in the motel room with the dead hooker scenario. Only in reverse.
Good analogy, boss.
The rat-faced man snickers. Goddamn, Shanky.
You don't get to talk yet, Shanky. You're still on the bench. And you keep taking it easy too, Angus.
He turns back to you. What happened then?
We went upstairs. Sure as day the Merc was dead. There was a bullet hole through the window. Fucking dirty sheets and bottles everywhere.
He means they'd been fucking?
Tibbs patched the window. And the corpse. We hanged.
Tibbs. Tibbs patched the window. Who's Tibbs? The 8th Hardy?
Nah, he's my brother. He's in the window replacement business.
Tibbs. That's short for?
Short for Tiberius?
Yeah. Good man.
Bet their father's name, Atticus Hardy. Lucretia Hardy would be their sister. Anyway.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Roman history, that's, a whole thing. But here we come to an interesting little wrinkle. One that we never get the opportunity to follow through on. One that I think was going to be in the DLC that never got released. You remember, we saw an advertisement in the plaza. It said, need windows? Tibbs has windows. And it was for a 24-hour window repair place. There can't be more than one 24-hour window repair place in Martinez, right? That window place that we know was cover for the Girl from Hjelmdal snuff radio station was run by Titus's brother. And now we know how he's been enforcing the law here in Martinez. He's been killing gang members. He knows this. He's admitted to it. But he's been killing them in secret. That's what Kim said when we first encountered the body. Now it appears they've started executing. As far as the RCM knew until now, no one was executing anybody here in Martinez. So how do you kill off gang members in secret, but still make it a warning? Put the fear of God into other gang members so that they know not to come up here. Well, you broadcast a little show. The Girl from Hjelmdal, who murders monsters. You might also recall when we had a shivers check in the plaza, our connection to Revachol told us that this is the whitest part of town. I think it means that ethnically. I mean, chromatically, it's not that white. We know that the Man from Hjelmdal fantasy is a white supremacist fantasy. And him being Suruese based on Arda, it's just another form of fetishizing the equivalent of the Norse. And gang members coming up from Jamrock would be more likely to be, a little browner. So, of course, it makes sense that this little girl, daughter of the famed white supremacist warrior, is taking them out. And then they're broadcasting that south into Jamrock. And La Puta Madre's people, the Skulls, the Ahura Mazda, they all get to hear their friends being killed by a little girl, presumably with a knife big enough to function as a sword. And it also makes sense of why Kuno S is standing where she's standing. So much of this game is based on angles. Who can see what? Kuno S is behind a fence, ostensibly looking at Kuno throwing rocks at the body. But in reality, she can see right past him to the back of Titus's head. And if Titus comes for her, she's got a fence between her and him, and she can run to a door she can lock behind before he can reach her. This is the secret that we cannot unpack in this game, and that I think was going to be part of that DLC. You want to know who abused Kuno S? We're looking right at him. Anyway, that's a theory. Let's get back to the murder we can solve, shall we? If Klaja didn't kill him, why the cover?
You may have noticed our girl's in some shit of her own.
I didn't notice anything. What kind of shit are we talking about?
That can't show up on police radar kind. There are people after her. From the old world. Where she came from.
These people, who are they?
They're powerful. connected to the moral intern. She's clearly afraid for her life. Says if she showed up in your systems, she'd be ghosted away.
In much the same way that we would be ghosted away if we went down the moralist quest.
That's all he knows. That's all she's told him.
And why would you help someone like that? By taking on a murder?
Why would I? I guess we abide all sorts of runaways and losers here. It's a Martinez thing.
So who killed the merc then? Any leads?
Not yet. Just some ideas. She says the shot came from outside, behind the window somewhere. So that's a clue.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking someone's past caught up with them. Either hers or his.
Hers, you mean?
I mean the people after Klausya. Maybe the shot missed. Maybe it was meant for her.
I like that. Been thinking the same thing myself.
And you had ideas about his past too?
I do. One of those mercenary buddies of his could have done it. They got guns, training, years of bad blood, probably. Or it could have been someone else from Crenell.
I mean, certainly after the shot happened, Kortenauer got a promotion. That's how that works.
Tell you what I'd do. Check out the coast for vantage points. Maybe consult with a ballistics buddy of mine. That's what I'd do. If I wasn't too busy doing this clown dance with you.
He's calm now. Threw all that turmoil away and became himself again. These theories, not bad. Don't buy either one, but still, this guy's not as dumb as he looks.
Whose idea was it to hang him anyway? Hers?
In a manner of speaking.
Remember the two girls? He may be talking about the other one.
Earlier you said the girls asked for help. Was this the other girl?
That's right. It was her idea to hang him. I liked it for political reasons. It sent a good message.
It's her, isn't it? The drug trafficker. The missing eighth party. The odd soul.
Fella, you think too much. He's off all right. You're gonna hurt your head. That woman is just affiliated with the Hardy Boys. You don't know her, anyway.
Understood. Can you tell me anything about her? Name, current location?
Nope. You're not getting to her. It's Klausya you want to talk to.
Can do. Thanks for this, Titus. We'll go talk to her for the last time.
You do that. Hey, cop. Before you go...
Suddenly, the wind picks up outside. You hear it rattling the large windows in their frames. It carries newspapers, circles the whirling in rags in a warm column.
She, Klausya, came to Martinez to hide. Many of us did. This is where you wash up when there's nowhere left to go. The Union takes you in. Now, she refused that protection. But
you would still prefer if we didn't take her away?
that's right. If we didn't take care of the people who end up here, this place would just be a couple of ruins and some cargo containers.
It makes sense if you're on the run from the law. Go to the district of Revachol where there are no cops. There's still order held in place by the dock workers union, but they only are interested in the order part of law and order, not the law part. Makes it convenient. As long as you keep your nose clean, you can get away with a lot.
We'll take that into account.
The lieutenant slides his notebook into his coat pocket. He turns to leave. We've got a little time left in this stream. Yeah, I think we'll talk to Klausya about this. Now, of course, we'll have the opportunity to do that visual calculus check, but I want to talk to her first. Now, I do want you to appreciate where she's standing. Not only her vantage point, but consider If a shot came from outside, a shot that might have been meant for her, she's daring them to try again. She is presenting the back of her head to her own would-be assassin. She doesn't care if she gets shot.
It's always good to see you.
The Hardy Boys told us what really happened.
I understand.
She puts her coffee mug on the table.
Just like that. No resistance. Her shoulders are slouched, her feet long and straight.
You don't look surprised. You were expecting this.
I knew there was a chance you'd get them to tell you. It's what you do. You're the police. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for wasting your time.
This is good. Clear the air first, between you two. Then move on to questions. No, it's not good. It's the opposite of that. This will let her dictate the terms of your shush. I can't hear what she's saying. Let the miss speak. She's tall and thin and tired. A twig trying so hard not to break.
If you knew we would find out eventually, why did you waste our time?
Because of the Hardys. I couldn't just dispense with them. They were only trying to help me. Out of the shit I'd gotten into.
That's not a good enough reason.
You're right. There's more.
More?
You answer to the coalition government, and by extension, the moral intern.
She reaches for a new cigarette.
Briefly glancing over her shoulder to the sea, as she's done time and time again. A grand expanse of water reaches over the bay and to the horizon, golden grey in the moonlight.
What lies beyond it?
The Pearl, the Muindi Isola, the Occident, and then Oranje, the old world.
Is that why you're looking over your shoulder? You're afraid of the moral intern?
You share a database with them. You send people to their courts.
What's going on? What did you do?
Just business. But bad business for some people in the moral intern. If I show up in your records, officer, they will find me. They will...
What happens if they do?
They will kill me, sir. If you file my name, take me in for questioning, enter me into the moral intern mill, well, then I'm fucked. For nothing. This murder didn't have anything to do with me.
Fucked? People after her? Moral intern people? This isn't Oranese lit. Actually, this murder did have a little to do with her.
What happened here the night he died?
We were there. Together. In bed, I mean.
Tell me exactly what happened. If it wasn't obvious, content warning.
Okay. He was in a kneeling position. He had just entered me. I was on my back, looking at him. I heard the window behind me shatter, and I turned to look. There was a hole in the glass. I turned back to him. His eyes were looking through me, and his mouth was open, dumb. I could see. I could.
Her chest rises and falls with each word. She keeps herself together and says it.
I knew he was dead. Before he fell down on top of me.
Then what happened?
He was heavy. I pushed him off and he fell to the floor. There. He only had his boots on. I bit the pillow, not to scream, then ran downstairs.
There's a long pause. She just stands there, her arms at her sides.
I waited for the second shot to come. For me. I thought there would be one. It never came.
She's forgotten about her cigarette. The butt has burned right down to her fingernails.
Your cigarette, miss.
Oh.
I'm sorry this happened to you.
So am I.
She immediately proceeds to light another one.
What time was this? When did it happen? It would help us if you could be as precise as possible.
11:30 to 12:15. I don't know the exact time. Around midnight.
It's okay. Were you inebriated?
Not as much as usual. He'd done a line, plus other things. I was drinking.
Wait. Titus said she was gurning her jaw off, much more than usual.
Titus said you look pretty high.
Oh, yeah. I did one of his lines, just to clear my head.
Did you hear or see the shooter in the course of this?
No.
What did you do then?
Nothing. I was trapped. I was stuck in my room downstairs. I got some clothes on and crawled back up, drew the blinds. Blood was coming from his mouth. Not a lot, just a little. He was still on the floor, slouched. I couldn't be there with him anymore, so I ran down and out of my room, into the hallway, down the stairs. I knew there would be people there.
You said you studied Ornese Lit. What's with this fugitive stuff?
I did. I also had a side job selling insurance that I was really good at. Got picked up by a bank. Competitive intelligence, they called it. After that, I sort of, transitioned out of the whole culture scene.
What did you do to have these people after you?
It's not nice, but it's not illegal. Not here in Revachol, or even in Oranje.
What exactly did you do?
Industrial espionage. I joined a business collective with the intention of betraying them. I did my job well enough to be asked to do it again. With a bigger company. The kind you really, really don't fuck with. I took their ledgers, 2 decades worth of accounting.
I need the names of the companies involved and who hired you.
He taps on his notebook.
The job was Lewsdoen County Savings Bank. They sound small, but they're part of the Lewis-Scott conglomerate. That was the second job. The first was some printer company. You wouldn't know them. As to who hired me for the job, I don't know. But they're after me too, along with Lewis-Scott and their friends in the MI. Once you're done in the competitive intelligence circuit, you don't have allies. You're radioactive.
She is Miss Oranje Disco Dancer. From the age of 13, she's been able to make men like her. And like all beauty queens, since the age of 13, she's been disposable.
Laws cap. These people engineer financial disasters in second world countries. The conglomerate also includes the Bank of Consecration, Airbird, and the popular Papalolo line of dairy products.
Papalolo?
Yeah. Papa fucking Lolo wants to kill me.
I'm sure there are people who have done much worse than that.
Sure. I'm not a war criminal, but it was bad. People lost their jobs. Good people, too, not just C-suite.
She shakes her head at the thought.
A lot of people got hurt. But that's just more of my shit you shouldn't have to deal with. You're solving a murder.
What happened after you ran downstairs?
Sylvie was tending the bar. A lot of people were there. The Hardys were at the table in front of the stage. I think the Union box was full. Ruby was there too. They were having such a good time. I sat down and they all welcomed me. I didn't even have to say anything. Ruby knew something was wrong.
And now we have a name. The drug trafficker, the missing 8th Hardy, the odd soul. Ruby. A gem.
Ruby?
Before we continue, who is Ruby?
Ruby. You know, the leader.
The leader? Of what?
The Hardy Boys.
She says, as if it's self-evident. I thought Hardy was the leader of the Hardy Boys.
Well, nominally, yes. Ruby's the one they go to when things happen, like things they need taken care of. She's the organizer.
This Ruby, in her phrasing, is entrusted with great power. She trusts her. So do the others.
Would you say she is the 8th Hardy Boy?
Why not?
Okay, let's go on. What then?
Well, Ruby said let's talk upstairs. I showed her the room. I've known these people since December. They know my situation, that I can't leave a paper trail. Ruby was the first one I told. She said she'd take care of this. It's what she does, you know, take care of things. I helped her get the body to the bathroom. We used a belt to pull him up under the shower, to keep him upright.
To mislead you, they were tampering with the body.
To produce lividity. Matching a hanging?
Yes.
This is concurrent with your doubts at the autopsy about the coloring being.
I knew it. The coloring in his lower limbs looked faint.
About half an hour had passed since the moment of death.
She nods.
You were late. The marks would be faint by that time.
He makes a small pointing motion with his pen. It's meant for you.
In honor of another precise forensic observation.
We're bad at a lot of things, but we're good at this.
You have it in you to be a champion. Keep your head in the game now.
Then what did you do?
Ruby went outside to talk to Titus and the boys. I was just looking at Lely in the bathroom. I had to put his clothes back on. His armor, too. It was tough, but I've seen him take it off and put it on many times. It took Ruby maybe half an hour to come back with Titus. I'd gotten him ready by then. They carried him out. I knew what they were going to do. Make it look like a hanging. Ruby said they would.
What did you do while they were hanging him?
Ruby said to wait here. She also said I wouldn't see her for a while. That we should lay low or something. So I did.
This Ruby. Where's this Ruby now?
I don't know. I haven't seen her since.
We will need to take this question to the Hardy Boys.
Interesting. Why did this Ruby go through so much trouble to hide something someone else did? Look into this later. What are you doing? Coming up with a theory. She said Ruby knew something was wrong before she said anything. How come? It was loud downstairs. She couldn't have heard the shot.
It is ominous. You already coming up with theories that put the blame on someone other than Clausia.
When it happened, did you hear a gunshot?
When he was shot? I may have. I don't know. I couldn't hear anything over the glass exploding.
The gunshot wasn't that loud. This is something to keep in mind when assessing the distance of the shot.
When was the window changed?
Last week. Angus and Titus's brother, I think he's called Tibbs, took care of it. I told you I'm a horrible girl. I told you things break around me.
Now this is a very specific line of dialogue. As far as I'm aware, it's the only line of dialogue in the game that tells us something important about Angus. There's two ways that we can understand, that we can parse this phrase. Angus and Titus's brother, I think he's called Tibbs, took care of it. Now, that could mean that Angus, comma, and Titus's brother, I think he's called Tibbs, together took care of the window. But why would Angus be involved in taking care of the window? Angus is not a window guy. And why would you get a man who huffs and puffs when he's sitting still to carry glass up and down a flight of stairs? No, the other way you can parse this is Angus and Titus's brother, Tibbs, took care of it. And that would make sense. Tibbs, the window guy, took care of it. But this tells us that Angus and Titus are brothers. And that makes sense with how we just saw Titus taking care of Angus, sticking up for him, making sure that the other boys don't bully him, and knew where his inhaler was supposed to be, calls him Angie, has an affection for him that the other, more toxically masculine men don't. Angus, Hardy. Angus, possibly short for Augustus, Titus, and Tibbs. The Hardy Boys. That would make sense for why the group is now called the Hardy Boys. They took over for a group of 3 men who all actually had the last name Hardy. And when you think of it in terms of a reference to the Hardy Boys from the series of books from your world, like, that makes sense. Those men were brothers. And it also paints a picture of the snuff radio setup. Titus The big guy, the muscle, he nabs the gang leaders and brings them in all tied up. Tibbs, the business, he runs the front. And Angus? Well, we already know what he does. He's the radio guy, isn't he? Again, speculation on my part. And there are two ways to parse this sentence, but I think that's legit.
You should have another look at that window after this. Reconstruct the scene. It's right there.
In her bedroom? Inside?
Yes, you see the glass sparkling out of the corner of your eye.
Did you kill Ellie?
What? Why would I put myself through this insanity? Get myself cornered like this?
There's a silence.
He wouldn't have died if it weren't for me. I know that. But I would never hurt him.
He was a serviceman. He must have had a gun lying around, close to her hand. A military weapon using jacketed ammunition. Now, you guys suddenly have theories pouring out, when they're obviously just stabs in the dark.
Downstairs people have this crazy idea that you killed him.
I'm sad to hear that. They must have said it in some fit of frustration or under pressure. They couldn't have meant it. I've talked to them after it happened. No one has implicated me.
It's okay if you did it in self-defense.
I did not kill him to defend myself from rape. I told you before. That wasn't what happened.
True, sire. 'Tis true.
But we can't trust you, can we, Drama? He must have had a weapon nearby. Did you use that?
No. I specifically asked him not to carry firearms when he was with me. He only had his stupid armor.
The bullet in his head. It was jacketed. Military grade. Who else here has a military rifle?
I don't know. His friends have rifles. Maybe those psychos did it? Coalition military have rifles. I'm not a munitions expert, and I did not shoot him.
She might have been a tad disingenuous when she avoided talking about the bullet in his head before. Look who's waking up from 1,000 years of sleep.
You've lied to me about this bullet before. When I said he was shot, you said you're confused.
I've said I'm sorry. What more do you want me to say? I did my best not to lie. It didn't always work.
To be fair, I really don't think it was her. She couldn't have done it unless it was really close range. And if it was close range, there's no way the bullet wouldn't have gone right through him. I'd like you to answer some other questions, miss.
Like what?
Could the people after you have killed him?
That's the first thing that went through my head when I heard the glass break.
And?
I thought they'd found me. They've killed him to punish me. All last week, I've tried not to talk to anyone or be seen with anyone.
She looks at her cigarette.
So they wouldn't be hurt. I've come to understand, however, this is paranoia. What happened didn't have anything to do with me.
But maybe it did.
I just don't know. I don't know anything.
We can't go after loose cap. Not yet. There are other, saner leads.
I don't ask you to, Lieutenant. If there's one thing I know, it's that you'll get nothing from there.
If they want to kill me, they'll kill me. If they want to toy with me, they will. She's come to this conclusion weeks ago.
Why did you call the cops if you're hiding?
Because I'm an idiot.
The answer comes fast.
Which is an indicator of truth. Idiot. She's nothing of the sort.
So you would have us believe, but you're not.
You have to understand, the people around here, no one was making the call, and he kept rotting. And then they picked his clothes off, and that little fucker threw stones at him.
Her jaw is clenched. Her throat moves. It takes all her strength not to cave in and sob. Once. Just one time.
He kept throwing stones at him for 3 days. I could hear the thud. Thud. So I called you. I hope with all my heart it's not the last thing I do in Revachol.
She definitely called the cops. That was task complete. It could not have been a lie. That is impossible. Oh God, that was a lie too. Who made the call then? She did, of course.
I think we're done here. for now.
She nods, silently. She doesn't even smoke, just picks up the cold coffee and holds it in her hands.
The lieutenant glances at you, then at the door.
He's thinking, are we done here? Or should we arrest her? She's a flight risk and she lied to you. She should be taken into custody. No, that won't be necessary. Just leave her alone. She's been through enough. She doesn't need this police brutality. This guy won't budge. You have to wake Multiface up, forcefully, if you want to continue pushing her.
In God's name, wake up!
Who? What? Dear God, you've been lied to. She could have killed her lover and lied to everyone. She's not candid at all. She's smoke and mirrors and will-o-wisps. She probably didn't give you her real name either. Why would she? Arrest her immediately, before she further entangles you in her web of lies. Take it easy. Don't overcompensate with this course correction. Ask questions first. Yes, start at the top. Choose at the bottom. It's how we've always done it. No rush. See?
Your real name isn't Klaja Amandu.
I agree. You wouldn't give us your real name, not when people are after you.
Okay.
Her voice cracks suddenly, like there's a garrote around her neck. Okay, what?
Okay, it's not.
Good. You can tell me the truth.
You log your work every week. It's all transmitted to Common, sir. I couldn't just beg you not to enter my name. So I lied. Like I lied before. Like I did at LCSB. I have to lie all the time. I'm so tired of it.
You're probably not even Miss Aranya 37, are you?
I am. They can never take my sash and my scepter from me.
This is how you know this is a world without the internet as you understand it. That's a detail that you'd be able to Google.
Yes, they can, for lying.
Was the passport bullshit too? That passport you keep hidden?
No. It's submerged in a plastic buoy on the coast, in the reeds. It just doesn't say Klaja Amandu. It says Anouk Mea Smit.
Falsified documents?
Passport and visa. Given to me by my employer. I can't even use them. My employer probably leaked the name, Mea Smit, to hurt me.
Why would they do that?
I didn't show up to a rendezvous. They don't take that lightly. I didn't show up because I was afraid they'd do something to me. The job was finished. I'm just a liability now.
Where is this boy?
West of the boardwalk, in the reeds. On the coast there. I put it there when I first arrived. Haven't been there since. I'm not sure I could even find it now.
I can.
It's useless.
The wind rises, so do the hairs on your back. Somewhere west, small bubbles rise from a plastic ball floating in the water. Rusty, the color of oversteeped tea.
What's happening?
Long, spindly arms are spinning the boy around, turning it, inspecting it like a magic 8-ball, trying to find a way to snap it open.
Nothing is useless.
Indeed. West of the boardwalk in the reeds, we have to check this boy out.
The lieutenant makes a note of it.
You're welcome to it. It's in the reeds northwest of here, past a broken sewage pipe, right near the waterline.
So tell me your real name.
It's Katarzyna Lazie.
The smile on her face is timid, almost painfully so.
It's a Grad name, Jimsk or Yugo-Grad in origin. Not Occidental at all. Smells of motor oil, tiger, economic desolation, and rock music-infused alcoholism. It also makes Klaja almost an alacronym for Katarzyna Alazia.
Wait, Klaja is an abbreviation of Katarzyna Alazia?
It was a sentimental thing. I wanted to be more me here, this time. So I used my nickname.
A nickname? Who gave you this nickname, Klaja?
Who gave it to you?
A teenage boy. 1,000,000 years ago.
Hold on. Katarzyna Elijah is not an Oranese name, is it? It's not even Mundi, it's Grad.
My parents were Zemsk immigrants, but I'm nationalized Oranese. All I remember is Oranje. Alasia is my father's name.
I'll keep calling you Elijah.
That's cool.
She looks at the ashtray, then up at you.
She nods, her back straight, ready for whatever is next.
You know, I think you didn't make that call to the station.
I did. What is this? I called your desk or whatever it is. The numbers are all over town. Call 8-100-2 for emergencies.
There's even a sticker on a tree.
There was an older woman on the other end. It sounded like she was smoking. She took my complaint. She coughed.
That is the emergencies desk number. Anyone could know that, sire, by looking around and calling the desk. I don't believe a single word she says.
What time did you make the call?
Thursday night. It was late, sometime after 12.
It checks out.
Say nothing.
She stands before you, holding her back very straight.
Kim, why have we not arrested her yet?
There may be grounds here, at least for an extended detention.
A little whimper. The young woman hears you. She's looking around.
What if I told you you're under arrest, Klasia?
Klasia.
She repeats with a pained smile on her face, her back pressed against the railing.
It was my first real boyfriend who gave me that name. He never recovered from the shit we went through. Because of me.
Who was he?
He was a writer. He made Oranese lit. And I destroyed him.
She looks you in the eye, her mouth quivering.
I know I'm shit. I know. But I haven't done anything. At least nothing illegal.
Failure to aid a police investigation. She purposefully misrepresented information crucial to the case. That's right, gang. Stern and merciless now. Stern and merciless as we reel her in.
You're a suspect in a murder investigation. You're a flight risk. It's all the reason I need.
The lieutenant produces a pair of handcuffs.
Please no.
Her eyes become round with fear. She tries to back further off.
But there's nowhere to go. A two-story drop to the Plaza Mosaic. If she could, she would have run before.
I think I know who did it. I know who shot Leslie. You know it was in me. Why would I do it? I have no motive.
She knows something.
What do you know? Who shot him?
She's silent for a second, as if looking into herself for certainty. Then, in a hushed voice, she says,
Ruby.
Why do you think it was her?
She has this thing for me. Ever since I met her and the boys downstairs. She's been pretty frank about what she wants.
And what is that?
Sex. And more. I made the mistake of confiding in her. I told her I was on the run. She started protecting me. It became an unhealthy relationship. When I started spending time with Lely, she told me to end it. Said there would be shit if I didn't. It was not a good meeting. We stopped talking after that, but...
I don't understand. What exactly in your relationship made you think she is romantically interested in you?
She said she's in love with me. She even asked me to run away with her when I told her I'm a fugitive. She started developing notions about our relationship.
And you led her on?
The lieutenant narrows his eyes.
A little. I was flattered, you know? But then I had to let her off, and it was not easy. I came to regret being friendly with her. We maybe kissed, nothing more.
Sounds like she was fixated on you.
This is just an assumption.
I know what it sounds like. That's why I didn't want to tell you before. But she knew what had happened when I came downstairs. Somehow, she knew Lely was dead. She wasn't surprised at all. When we came up here, she was calm as a stone, too. She cleaned it all up like she had a plan.
This is a familiar theory. You had it too, remember? Could it be that Ruby was covering up after herself? The lynching? Yet again, you're coming up with this.
The worst thing is, it may be true.
When Ruby said there would be shit happening if you didn't end your relationship with the deceased, was she threatening you?
She came over one night, drunk, said she'd turn my life into a living hell. I've been threatened before, so I can tell when someone knows how to do it. And she's a pro. She must be, to keep the Hardys in line. I tried severing ties with her after that. I thought it had worked, but...
She looks through the window of her room. And how could she have killed him?
You said there was a secret route there, right?
She points to the door that leads to the pinball workshop.
She could have come up through there, then taken this shot. Right here, where I stand. It was too dark outside. I wouldn't have seen her.
Then slipped back downstairs without anyone noticing. That is possible.
Interesting theory. Did she know that door exists? Had you been out there with her?
Yes. She's been up here many times. She used to come to drink on the roof when,
The young woman falls silent. Her mouth moves without a sound.
The peephole.
You're thinking about the peephole, right? The perforation in the pinball workshop wall?
She would have seen us. My bed is right next to...
She's forgotten her cigarette in the ashtray.
You mean to suggest she made it?
No. No. Why would she do that to herself? No, I just remembered you told me about it, and...
Don't let your imagination run wild here, sire. Keep it on track.
Okay, that's it for Ruby.
Okay, and what? Arrest the liar now. Don't arrest her. Push her a bit more, but then let her off. That Ruby theory was solid. And she's beautiful. She's stuck here. She's already in prison. Look around. She's only trying to help you.
Who?
Her. Stop letting her distract you.
Okay. I'll keep you here, miss. For now. Put the cuffs away, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you. You won't regret it.
Something tells you, you will.
Let's change the subject, for the time being.
She slowly lights another cigarette and steadies her breath,
We'll return
as if in the presence of some tiger.
And there we have it. We're done with our church side quest. And now, we're on to the real shit. I'd like to thank you all for joining me once again. We took a bit of a break there, but now we're really at it. Ruby is our target. Ruby is the suspect. The figure at the heart of all this. Maybe. Either way, I do intend to be back 7 days from now, your time. So I'll see you then. Have yourselves